The benefits of soul retrieval vary greatly depending on who I'm working with, because none of us are cookie cutter. Everyone has their own set of unique experiences, and we draw upon those experiences to bring back the lost energy or essence that's left due to difficult times. So I find it best to illustrate some of the benefits of the work by sharing a few case studies. So first I'll talk about Susan, who originally came to me because she was having stomach issues that were a result of an autoimmune disorder. And after hearing her story for a few moments, I asked her to relate back to what had happened 5 years ago, mentioning that 5 years ago was when this illness had set in and she felt most of the discomforting symptoms. She said that 5 years ago was when she had walked in on her husband who was attempting to commit suicide. Fortunately for Susan, she was able to save his life, able to give him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, get him to the hospital. But after that, she said that things just weren't the same. With him, they were great. He actually found a new stride in life and was very happy and peaceful after his life had been saved. But she was very disconnected. Her heart had closed off, and she was unable to relate to him in the same way. So when I did the session with Susan, I found that, in fact, her energy had disconnected from her that moment when she had walked into the bedroom to find her husband. What I found was that there was a soul part of her energy that was hanging out in the doorway that said, I am not going in there. So when I connected with the soul part, I let her know that it was okay to come back, it was safe, and that her husband had survived, and it was okay to come back fully present so that she could continue to have a healthy relationship with him. The soul part said that she left because if she involved her heart, then it would have taken too much time to go through the step-by-step motions to save his life. So 2 weeks later, after I reconnected with Susan, she said that since her soul retrieval, she felt like her heart had opened. She hadn't told her husband about the work that she was doing with me, but said that he kept saying, "The old Susan's back, the old Susan," and was very connected to her once again. She reported that it helped them to grow in their relationship because he was in a better place, and now she too could meet him where he was at. Another client that I worked with was a young man named Kurt. He was 20 years old and he was complaining about an inability to speak his truth. He said that every time he tried to say what he wanted to say, especially to family members or in times that he was nervous, his throat would close up completely and he would be unable to speak. And it was even during this time that I noticed that I could barely hear what he was saying, that he was whispering everything so quietly. So when I went into the journey, I actually saw that the disempowerment of him using his voice was traced back to his stepfather, who had had a disempowerment in his childhood using his voice. I saw that there was this intergenerational link, that his stepfather was very wounded and hurt, that his father had sort of taken his ability to speak his truth. So when I spoke with his stepfather, I asked him if he would be ready and willing to bring this energy back so that Kurt could once again speak up and stand in his own truth. And I saw that there was a healing that had to happen for these connected generations so that the power could be restored. After the session, Kurt reported that he was able to sing and that he was able to speak his truth, and that even though this time since I had seen him and worked with him, that his voice was booming, it was deeper, and he sounded much more like a man. So it really is dependent on what your experience has been and what soul parts are ready to come back. They each come with gifts that have been preserved in time, that have not brought the trauma into our lives. So it may be that you have restored confidence, or that you feel more grounded, or perhaps you're able to open up your heart after a heartbreak, having to close off to keep people out. Perhaps after the trauma, once you heal it, you're able to open up and love both yourself and love others. So soul retrieval is very unique to the person that I'm working with, and it's always a surprise, usually to both of us, what comes back.